So, let's go. You are standing at the edge of everything we think we understand about how the universe works. And one by one, the solar system is going to prove us wrong. Number 1. Saturn's rings. Saturn is 4.5 billion years old. Its rings are somewhere between 100 and 400 million years old. That means they're younger than the dinosaurs. A planet more than 10 times the age of its own rings, wearing jewelry that shouldn't even be there yet. Here's what makes it worse. The rings are over 95% pure water ice. Perfectly white. Perfectly clean. Space is full of dust, grit, micrometeorites, constantly raining down on everything. To stay that clean for 4.5 billion years would be like leaving a white carpet out in a sandstorm for eternity and finding it spotless. It's not possible, which means the rings are new. And they're already leaving. Ring ice is slowly raining down into Saturn's atmosphere. In another 100 million years, they'll be gone entirely. So here's where it gets strange. You happen to exist at the exact cosmological moment and out of 4.5 billion years when Saturn has rings. The physicist who figured out their age literally said it felt like too much luck. The rings span 282,000 kilometers across, wider than the distance from Earth to the Moon, and in most places they're only about 10 meters thick. At planetary scale, that's thinner than a sheet of paper. All of that spectacle, that iconic image of Saturn, is a temporary accident we just happen to be alive to see. Where did they come from? Best guess right now. A moon called Chrysalis drifted too close, got torn apart by gravity, and became the rings. No hard evidence yet. We don't actually know. What we do know is that something is disappearing, and we only barely showed up in time to see it. Number 2. The sun's corona. The surface of the sun is about 5,500 degrees Celsius, hot enough to vaporize any material you've ever touched. Now move away from it, rise up through the atmosphere, and watch the temperature climb. Past 100,000 degrees. Past 1 million. Sometimes during solar events past 40 million degrees Celsius. The further you get from the sun's surface, the hotter it gets. That's not how heat works. Heat flows from hot to cold. Always. It's one of the most fundamental laws in physics. It's so reliable that your entire understanding of fire, of cooking, of weather, of how your body stays warm is built on it. The sun's outer atmosphere ignores it completely. It's like the air above a campfire being thousands of times hotter than the flames. Not a little hotter. Thousands of times. And it gets even stranger. The corona is so thin that if you could somehow stand inside it, a thermometer would read nearly freezing. The particles there are moving fast enough to register as millions of degrees, but there are so few of them that almost none would actually hit you. Temperature without heat, a number without a feeling. We've known about this since 1869. We have been watching the sun every single day for our entire existence as a species, and we still don't know how it does this. NASA launched a probe specifically to solve it. On December 24th, 2024, the Parker Solar Probe flew through the corona itself, closer to the sun than any object we've ever sent there, moving at nearly 700,000 kilometers per hour. Still no definitive answer. The star you've looked at every day of your life is doing something that physics says is impossible. And it won't tell us how. Number 3, Io, Jupiter's moon. Io is roughly the same size and mass as Earth's moon. Our moon is geologically dead, silent, cold. Nothing has happened there in billions of years. Io has over 400 active volcanoes, eruption plumes stretching 500 kilometers above the surface, lava flows covering nearly the entire moon continuously. It produces more heat than every volcano, every hot spring, every geothermal vent on Earth combined. It should be dead. It has every reason to be dead. Something is squeezing it alive. Jupiter is 318 times the mass of Earth, and Io orbits closer to it than our moon orbits us. That gravity is immense. But it's not constant. Io is locked in a gravitational tug-of-war with 2 other moons, Europa and Ganymede, and their combined pull keeps Io's orbit slightly oval instead of circular, which means the distance between Io and Jupiter constantly changes, which means Jupiter's gravity squeezes Io differently every few hours. Flexing it, like crushing and releasing a stress ball, except the stress ball is a moon, and the friction from that flexing generates enough heat to melt rock permanently, forever. The surface is a patchwork of reds and oranges and blacks and yellows. Sulfur in every form it can take. The ground is hotter than any lava on Earth. Sulfur dioxide snow falls from the sky. Jupiter fills 39 degrees of the horizon, enormous and constant and utterly indifferent. There are no craters on Io. Every impact, every scar, buried under new lava within a million years. The surface is being remade continuously. In geological time, Io has no past, just an endless, violent present. Io's been doing this for 4.5 billion years, and the same gravitational chain keeping Io alive is gently warming the ocean under Europa's ice, the moon right next door. One impossible moon keeping another one potentially habitable. Number 4. Saturn's hexagon. Sitting on Saturn's north pole is a hexagon, a perfect six-sided geometric shape made of wind, bigger than Earth. Each side is 14,500 kilometers long. The winds inside reach 320 kilometers per hour. At the center sits a hurricane-like vortex with an eye 50 times wider than any storm on Earth. It has been there, stable, for at least 43 years. Earth's most powerful storms last a few weeks. This thing has been running since before most people reading this were born, and it was already old then. Geometry shouldn't exist in an atmosphere. Storms are chaotic, fluid dynamics doesn't produce perfect hexagons. But when two layers of fluid rotate at different speeds, under the right conditions, the boundary between them can lock into a polygon. The specific number of sides depends on exact wind speeds, viscosity, the size of the system. Saturn hit some exact combination of conditions that produced a hexagon and then never stopped. Between 2012 and 2016, it changed color, blue to gold. The northern hemisphere was entering summer, and the new sunlight was chemically altering the haze. The storm didn't care. It kept going. In 2018, scientists found a second hexagon in the stratosphere, far above the first. Two hexagons stacked. Either the same structure extends tens of thousands of kilometers upward, or Saturn somehow generated two identical geometric storms at different altitudes independently. Both options are deeply unsettling. Saturn's south pole has a circular vortex. Normal, boring. Why only the north? Nobody knows. We haven't sent anything back to Saturn since Cassini burned up in 2017. Everything we know about the hexagon is from a mission that's been dead for years. Whatever it's doing right now, we're not watching. Number 5. Uranus. Every planet in the solar system formed from the same spinning disk of gas and dust. Physics says they should all be spinning upright, poles pointing roughly perpendicular to their orbits, like tops. Earth's tilt of 23.5 degrees is already the result of a catastrophic ancient collision. Mercury is tilted less than 1 degree. Jupiter less than 4. Uranus is tilted at 98 degrees. It is lying on its side, rolling around the sun along its equator. One pole faces the sun for 42 straight years, constant daylight, then 42 years of complete darkness. The equator, which should be warmest, barely sees sunlight at all. Everything about how a planet is supposed to work, seasonally, atmospherically, energetically, is inverted. Here's the part nobody can explain. Uranus and Neptune are nearly identical. Same size, same mass, same composition. They should behave the same way. Neptune radiates 2.5 times more heat than it receives from the sun, leftover energy from its formation, still leaking out after 4.5 billion years. Uranus emits almost nothing. It absorbed the same heat at birth and just kept it. Locked inside under some layer we can't see, for reasons we don't understand. Something hit Uranus. Hard enough to knock it completely sideways? That part most scientists agree on. What hit it? How many times? Whether it was one massive impact or two separate ones, whether a passing Planet 9-like body slowly tipped it over through gravity across millions of years, genuinely unknown. One spacecraft has ever visited Uranus. Voyager 2 in January 1986. A single flyby. 38 years ago. Every close-up image we have of this sideways, heat-trapping, tilted mystery came from one brief encounter. We haven't been back. And lying even deeper in its shadow, quietly waiting. Number 6. Miranda. Miranda is one of Uranus's moons. It is 470 kilometers across, roughly the size of Texas. At that size, the physics of planetary geology says it should be completely dead, too small to hold heat, too small for radioactive decay to do anything useful. Just a cold cratered rock drifting in the dark. Instead, it has Verona Rupes, a cliff, at minimum 5 kilometers tall, at maximum 20 kilometers tall. The estimate is still uncertain because we've only ever seen it once, in one flyby from one angle. For comparison, Mount Everest is 8.8 kilometers. The Grand Canyon is 1.5 kilometers deep. Verona Rupes might be taller than Everest twice over, on a moon small enough to fit inside a single US state. Drop something off the edge. In Miranda's gravity 1/8 of 1% of Earth's, it would take 12 minutes to reach the bottom. You'd have time to sit down, look at the stars, think about your choices. It would hit at around 200 kilometers per hour. Miranda also has these bizarre regions called Coriolis, patchwork areas of parallel ridges and valleys and cliffs that look like someone cut up 4 different moons and stitched the pieces back together. No other body in the solar system has them. Best explanation. Miranda was once caught in an orbital resonance with another moon, the same tidal heating mechanism keeping Io alive, but milder. Enough to crack the crust, rearrange the surface, push up impossible cliffs. Then, the resonance ended. The heating stopped. The activity froze in place. What you're looking at is a geological crime scene, mid-action, suddenly abandoned. The northern hemisphere was in complete darkness during the only flyby. We have never seen it. Half of Miranda is unknown territory. The Uranus orbiter mission is NASA's top priority for the next decade. If it launches in the early 2030s, we'll finally see what's on the other side. Whatever's there has been waiting in the dark since before anyone thought to look. Number 7, Neptune's winds. Neptune is 4.5 billion kilometers from the Sun, 30 times farther than Earth. It receives about 1/900th the solar energy we do. Basic atmospheric physics says less energy input means less activity, slower winds, quieter skies. Almost every model built before we got there predicted Neptune would look like Uranus. Featureless, calm, cold, and boring. The fastest sustained winds in the solar system are 2,100 kilometers per hour. That's Neptune. Faster than a rifle bullet, 3 times faster than anything Jupiter produces, 9 times faster than Earth's strongest recorded storm. The winds are so extreme, they approach the local speed of sound. Before Voyager 2 arrived in August 1989, scientists expected quiet. Instead, they found an Earth-sized storm called the Great Dark Spot, complex atmospheric banding, and winds that rewrote the record books. Nobody predicted it. Nobody had a model that explained it. The internal heat Neptune has been slowly leaking since its formation drives fierce convection between the warm, deep interior and the frozen cloud tops, and something about that temperature difference unleashes atmospheric violence that the universe apparently decided to hide at the edge of the solar system where we couldn't see it. By 1994, the Great Dark Spot was gone. Just gone. Vanished. New storms have appeared in different places. Neptune's storms are not stable like Jupiter's Great Red Spot, which has been spinning for centuries. They appear for months or years, and then disappear without explanation. In March 2025, the James Webb Space Telescope photographed auroras on Neptune for the first time. Because Neptune's magnetic field is tilted 47 degrees from its rotation axis, the auroras don't appear at the poles. They glow at mid-latitudes, roughly where South America would be if Neptune had continents. One spacecraft, one flyby, 35 years ago. That is everything we know about Neptune up close. Number 8, Venus. Every planet in the solar system formed from the same rotating cloud of material, spinning in the same direction. They should all rotate the same way. They almost all do. Venus rotates backwards, clockwise, when viewed from above. The sun rises in the west and sets in the east. And it does this extraordinarily slowly. A single Venusian day lasts 243 Earth days. Its year is only 224 days. A day on Venus is longer than its year. You'd have your birthday before you saw your first sunset. Venus is also the hottest planet in the solar system, not Mercury, which is closer to the sun. Venus at 465 degrees Celsius on the surface, hot enough to melt lead, hot enough to kill any probe we've ever sent there, the longest survivor lasting 110 minutes before the planet won. 92 times Earth's atmospheric pressure, which is the equivalent of being 900 meters underwater. Clouds of sulfuric acid at 60 kilometers altitude, and Venus's atmosphere doesn't even rotate with the planet. At cloud level, the atmosphere completes a full rotation every 4 Earth days. The planet takes 243 days. The sky moves 60 times faster than the ground beneath it. Something reversed this planet. A giant impact is the most obvious answer. Something massive hit Venus and knocked it backwards. But a giant impact on Earth created the moon. Venus has no moon. The debris went somewhere. The other possibility, over billions of years, the sun's gravity pulled on Venus's thick atmosphere like a handle, slowly torquing the rotation until it reversed. Models show this is physically possible. Models also show it requires specific conditions to end up exactly where Venus is now. Maybe both things happened, maybe neither explanation is complete. Venus was almost certainly habitable as recently as 700 million years ago. Liquid oceans, reasonable temperatures. Then something triggered runaway greenhouse warming, and it became the place that destroys our robots in under 2 hours. We still don't really know what broke it. Number 9. The Kuiper Cliff. Beyond Neptune, the outer solar system is filled with icy debris, dwarf planets, frozen rocks, the raw material left over from when everything formed. This region is called the Kuiper Belt, and it stretches from 30 astronomical units out to about 50. 1 astronomical unit is the distance from Earth to the Sun. So we're talking about billions and billions of kilometers of material scattered through the void. Every model of solar system formation predicted the debris should keep going past 50 astronomical units, thinning out, but continuing. There's no physical reason for it to stop. Most other star systems observed have debris disks much larger than ours. At around 48 to 50 astronomical units, the objects drop off. Not gradually, sharply, almost nothing beyond that line. This is the Kuiper Cliff, and we only noticed it existed in 2003. Our solar system ends abruptly in a way that physics says it shouldn't. The explanations are all unsatisfying. Maybe the original disk of material just ran out there. Maybe a passing star early in the solar system's history scattered everything beyond that boundary into interstellar space. Maybe the giant planets, as they migrated outward in the early solar system, swept the region clean. Maybe something we haven't found yet, a hidden planet orbiting hundreds of astronomical units out, cleared the neighborhood. In 2025 and 2026, a team using a telescope in Hawaii found a handful of objects beyond 60 astronomical units, further than the cliff, using a new technique that stacks thousands of images to pull faint signals out of noise. Maybe the cliff isn't a hard wall. Maybe there's something beyond it we just couldn't see yet. New Horizons is currently traveling through this region, heading outward past 50 astronomical units into whatever comes after, finding it very empty. The Very Rubin Observatory, which began its 10-year sky survey in 2025, is expected to map the Kuiper Belt in more detail than everything we've ever done combined. In the next decade, we'll either find out what caused the cliff or confirm that the edge of our solar system is genuinely, unexplainably strange. Number 10. The Moon. Look at the moons of Jupiter. The biggest one, Ganymede, is 2.5 times the mass of our moon, but it represents less than 1/100% of Jupiter's mass. Saturn's largest moon, Titan, is about the same. Moons are small compared to their planets. That's normal. That's how it works. Earth's moon is 1.2% of Earth's mass, 50 to 100 times more dominant relative to its planet than any other moon in the solar system. And Earth is a small, rocky, inner planet. Mercury has no moon. Venus has no moon. Mars has 2 tiny captured asteroids. The moon is not supposed to be here. It gets stranger. Earth's iron core makes up about 1/3 of our planet's mass. The moon's iron core is less than 10% of its mass. A moon that formed from the same material as Earth should match Earth's composition. It doesn't, except for oxygen isotopes, which are nearly identical to Earth's. It's made of the right atoms in the wrong proportions. Iron removed, everything else suspiciously familiar. The leading theory is that 4.5 billion years ago, a Mars-sized planet called Theia hit the young Earth at a glancing angle. The collision vaporized both impactors. debris ejected into orbit coalesced into the moon. This explains the angular momentum, the lack of iron, the global magma ocean the moon clearly had early in its history. The problem: if the moon formed mostly from Theia's material, it should have Theia's chemical signature. It doesn't. It has Earth's. Which means either Theia was somehow chemically identical to Earth, which is statistically bizarre, or the impact was so violent that both planets fully vaporized and merged into a single cloud before recondensing. A rotating ball of rock vapor the size of two planets briefly existing, cooling into the Earth and Moon simultaneously. In 2023, researchers proposed something that's hard to stop thinking about. Two massive blobs deep in Earth's mantle, each roughly 2.5 times the Moon's mass, have slightly different properties from the surrounding rock. The computer simulations suggest they are remnants of Theia. The planet that created the Moon hit us so hard that pieces of it sank to the bottom of our world and never mixed in. Theia is still inside Earth. The Moon is a scar on the outside. The wound is still there underneath. And then there's this. The Moon is 400 times smaller in diameter than the Sun. The Moon is 400 times closer to Earth than the Sun, which means from the surface of Earth, they appear exactly the same size. A total solar eclipse where the Moon slides perfectly over the Sun and the corona blazes out around it exists only because of this coincidence of geometry. No other planet has anything like it. There's no physical reason it should be this precise. In about 600 million years, the Moon will have drifted far enough away that it'll be too small to cover the Sun. Total solar eclipses will end. We live in the narrow window when they're possible. Same as Saturn's rings. Same as the Moon's impossible size and impossible origin, and the alien planet still sleeping in Earth's mantle. The solar system didn't follow the rules. It just kept building things until something held together. And somehow, for now, we're one of them.